The WWF, what the world is watching. Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade. Now on episode 167, I am your host, Ray Russell, and this week we continue on our journey through December of 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation, now looking at the TV. What's going on in week 2 here of December in just a moment, and I do apologize in advance for the lawnmower man outside, just that time of day. Hey, the guy's retired, this is what he does with his free time, and I can't really complain because his yard looks immaculate. People, let me tell you. But right now, we're going to jump back into things, going back in time again to the WWF Superstars of Wrestling, heading back to December 10th, 1988. All right, guys, away we go with WWF Superstars for December 10th, taped back November 15th, 1988, San Francisco, California, at the famed Cow Palace. Vince McMahon, Jesse the Body Ventura on commentary as we head off to the ring. Kick things off with Jake the Snake Roberts taking on the Black Knight. Who is that masked man? We get an insert promo here from Bobby the Brain Heenan, who says that Jake and his snake never scared Andre. They simply surprised him. Again, Bobby will not be held responsible for what Andre does to Jake or Damien. As the action gets going, the bulky Black Knight surprisingly gets some offense in here on the Snake Man early on, but Jake going to reverse a whip into the corner and take control, toying with the Knight from there, pulling him up from a 2 count, even shoving his face into the cameraman before it's the short arm clothesline and the DDT. Going to get the win, 2 minutes and 37 seconds, and you best believe a little Damien fun going to follow there on the poor Black Knight. Not the one from the Survivor Series many moons later, guys. This is the one that we'll see on WWF TV for some time to come, doing the job. It says, up next on the show, we go back to the most recent edition of Saturday Night's Main Event. We get a replay of the entire Brother Love show featuring the Doctor of Style Slick, and more importantly, Hulk Hogan as the guest there in the ring. Of course, the Hulkster first going to dispose of the Slickster, followed by Brother Love cuffing Brother Love to the top rope, clotheslining him out to the floor, again escalating his feud with the Big Boss Man by attacking his manager, Slick here. But you can't say the Doctor of Style didn't have it coming. Now, the segment goes almost 10 minutes, so full segment of Superstars TV, and it replaces the normal Brother Love show that we would have here at this point in time on the program. So we go back to the ring for more action featuring Bad News Brown taking on Frankie Valdez. Brown gets creative this week, running around ringside, grabbing the unsuspecting Valdez by his feet from the outside of the ring, pulling Frankie out to the floor. Big body slam out there as we get an insert promo from Bad News Brown telling the Macho Man that asking Jack Tunney to remove his suspension will be the last decision Randy Savage will ever make. Wow, strong words there from Bad News Brown as Valdez going to reverse a whip in the corner, but runs right into a double boot from Bad News Brown, followed by the Ghetto Blaster. Gets the quick and easy win, 1 minute, 57 seconds, as we roll off to a quick promo featuring the WWF Tag Team Champions, Demolition, who are now Fuji-less.
Who's the Stooge? You remember what we've gone through? You remember the training? Well, you know something, it's paid off because we're the best. We're ready for your powers of pain. You bring them on because you lost control of us, and now we're gonna kick your teeth in.
The powers of pain. 2 puppets you lead around by the nose. You know how tough we are, Fuji? We live at the end of Elm Street. When Freddy Krueger wants to come home, he has to ask us.
All right, the Demos, Axe, and Smash, they talk about Fuge the Stooge no longer being able to control them. The Powers of Pain are now his puppets. The Warlord, the Barbarian, well, the Demolition, they have the title belts and are eager to defend against anyone. That includes the new team led by their former Master Fuji. The Demos and Powers of Pain feud kicking into high gear as we head into the new year of 1989. And we go back to the ring now to see more singles action, this time featuring the Red Rooster, with manager Bobby Heenan by his side. The Rooster's opponent this week, Cowboy Scott Casey. We even get an insert promo here from Terry Taylor, who thanks the Brain for giving him the confidence and the help to guide him to the top. Rooster states he's been undefeated since joining the Heenan family. A true booster for the Red Rooster is the Brain, I guess you could say. As Terry Taylor says, they will be together forever. Perhaps a little foreshadowing there. Speaking of the man, or bird, foul? He hits a couple of basic moves here early, does the Rooster, but Scott Casey reversing a hip toss, and Taylor going to bail outside at the insistence of his manager, Bobby Heenan, barking orders demeaning the Rooster. Use your head. I guess that's that noggin about 3 inches above the beak there, eh, Brain? Taylor, though, going to finally come back inside, blocking a Scott Casey sunset flip attempt, and then from there, the Rooster going to go to town on the Cowboy. Bobby then calling for the finish in this one. Terry Taylor lands that awesome-looking stun gun across the top rope, followed by the cock of the walk, the Scorpion Deathlock, if you will, going to get the submission win. Just 2 minutes and 32 seconds. Relative ease here. This win by the Rooster over Scott Casey, who was just recently at the Survivor Series pay-per-view. Of course, this was taped prior to, so I'm not sure if they knew he was even going to be involved at that point. I do know that upcoming next year on Superstars, we're off to the Event Center, our very first of the week with Sean Mooney. We're going to hear from the likes of Andre the Giant and manager Bobby Heenan. We're also going to hear from the Birdman, Coco Beware.
We are back at the Event Center. Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney. A lot happening here in the WWF. What about what is going on with Andre the Giant? A lot of people wondering, is there a weakness to Andre the Giant? Has it been found? Well, right now, Andre the Giant is standing by along with his manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and he wants to answer that question.
You know, the likes of Macho Man Randy Savage, the likes of Jake the Snake Roberts, the Hacksaw Dugans, and all the other punks out there, they think they got this man running. They think he can't get the belt from Savage. They think he likes to get hit with 2x4s. Even they think this man fears snakes.
No!
He fears nothing. And you're all gonna find out. Get in this man's way, and I will not be responsible for what happens.
You know what? They should ask to Art Hogan.
That's right.
He knows. I don't fret anything. And I never lost a match in my life. I've been wrestling for quite a while. And all you guys, you can come in the ring. And we're going to show you how good the Bobby Heenan family is.
Well, you heard the words of Bobby the Brain Heenan and Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant fears nothing here in the World Wrestling Federation, and that includes Damien. Right now, we've got the high-flying Birdman, Coco Beware, standing by, and he's got some things to say.
You see, ever since Frank and I have been in the World Wrestling Federation, we have been moving on up the ladder. And we have been facing a lot of great competition. And that's the only way that you can get here in the World Wrestling Federation. You got to be somebody. If you're not with the World Wrestling Federation, you might as well forget it, brother. So because I want to say I got some great fans out there. Keep sending those cards and letters to the Birdman. I appreciate it. Because I'm coming to your town, and when I come to your town, when Frankie come to your town, we're going to fly like a bird, and we're going to party hardy. Isn't that right, Frankie? Oh, yeah.
Well, comments from the Birdman, Coco Beware, thanking all his friends and fans out there for all the things they have sent in to him. And he has a lot to be thankful for. The Birdman, Coco Beware, one of the true superstars here in the World Wrestling Federation.
All right, the Brain continues to reiterate that Andre is not afraid of snakes. And he's certainly not afraid of Jake Roberts. That feud continues on. Also, the Birdman, apparently ascending the ladder. The same promo he will cut for years to come here in the company. Not really any direction for the Birdman, but he is a bird, so it only makes sense to fly your way to the top. Maybe. Someday. Anywho, we go on. Mean Gene Okerlund. We saw a couple of them last week. Well, they're back again. I'm talking about Luke and Butch Another Bushwhackers vignette, this time Mean Gene out there in a trench coat. So many jokes there. God, Gene, I hope you have some clothes on underneath there. The middle of the woods is where Mean Gene is, the location this week, trying to meet up with the Bushwhackers for an interview, but he can't seem to find them, can't locate Luke and Butch. But then they pop up from under a giant pile of leaves, startling Okerlund, knocking him backwards onto his back into another pile of leaves as they talk about their camouflage, mate. That's why they wear it in the ring, says Luke and Butch. And now it's Gene's turn to camouflage as the Bushwhackers bury him in a pile of leaves. Whoa! Yay, mate! All right, we go back to the ring. Feature match time, and whoa, what a match it is. It's the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, taking on Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, the Brainbusters, along with their manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan. And oh man, here we go. Talk about big match time right here on syndicated TV. The Rockers out first in the ring, followed by Bobby Heenan and his Busters. Shawn jogging the ropes, kind of warming up in the ring as the Busters arrive ringside. Arn Anderson, before the match can even begin, tripping Shawn Michaels up from the floor. Kind of a heelish thing to do there, Arn. But Marty Jannetty sees it and then retaliates by launching himself, no hands dive, over the top rope. Marty Jannetty out to the floor, landing on top of Double A. So Jannetty down on the floor, pounding on Arn Anderson. Tully Blanchard going to jump on the back of Marty Jannetty. But then it's Shawn Michaels leaping off the apron onto Tully Blanchard. And we've got ourselves a wild brawl before all four men can even get in the ring. And it's fun to see the two Georgia boys, Arn and Marty, go at it, while the two San Antonioans, if that's a thing, Tully and Shawn Michaels also paired up with each other as the fight goes on all around ringside. The crowd absolutely eating this up. The officials unable to separate the two teams. Finally, Bobby Heenan trying to get his Busters out of the fight, and they do attempt to retreat up the aisleway. But here come the Rockers. Don't look back, Busters. Again, the fight is on, this time in the aisle. The referees, Pat Patterson, Tony Gurria, nobody can stop the melee. All four men brawling all the way up the aisle to the back into the locker room. Wow, what did we just see here? Well, we didn't get a match, which was absolutely a bummer. I was really looking forward to it, but we did clearly see the beginnings of an awesome feud to come. So I cannot wait to see these matches on the house shows between the Brainbusters and the Rockers. So much in common, parallel in so many ways. You got a Georgia boy and a Texas boy on both sides. Of course, the Rockers, the epitome of the babyface tag team. Meanwhile, the Brainbusters, the embodiment of what a heel tag team should be. Just nobody did it better than Arn and Tully, in my opinion. But we continue on, and I'm looking forward to that. I can't get it out of the back of my mind now, but we continue on with the program as we go off to Update Now with Mean Gene Okerlund. The focus of this week's topic, the brand new WWF Women's Champion. I'm talking about Rockin' Robin.
From the pages of the World Wrestling Federation magazine, here's Update.
All right, what about that brawl between the Rockers and the Brainbusters? You certainly not heard the end of that one from those four men and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Now, history made recently in Paris, France. There is a new WWF Women's Champion. She is Rockin' Robin. She upended Sensational Sherry in Paris, France on November the 8th of this year. Let's go back to that date. All right, on the heels of victory in Paris, France, Rockin' Robin feels that she has indeed fulfilled a lifelong dream.
You know, it's not often people get the chance just to live out a dream. I can't tell you how lucky I feel to have stepped into my dream in Paris, France. I've just got one thing to say. Sherry, you better come after me with everything you've got, because I'm not about to give up my dream now.
All right, Rockin' Robin promo there. She's realized a lifelong dream and not about to give it up without a fight. Welcoming the return matches upcoming against the former champion, the Sensational Sherry. And for those of you who don't know by now, Rockin' Robin, the sister of Sam Houston, the half-sister of one Jake the Snake Roberts, and now she too has gold. Actually, the first of the family to hold the gold here in the WWF. Ever, now that I think about it. And you better believe Rockin' Robin going to be part of the upcoming Royal Rumble pay-per-view. We get a bumper here for the Royal Rumble coming to you live January 15th, 4 p.m. Eastern start time. Early enough in the afternoon to still enjoy your evening, should you so desire. And of course, like I said, Rockin' Robin going to be part of that big pay-per-view defending her women's world title belt. As we continue on back to the ring, it's time to watch the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, in action. He's got bodyguard Virgil by his side. His opponent this week, one leaping Lanny Poffo, as we get a poem from Poffo, quoting something about the Emancipation Proclamation and Hercules now being free. Just too bad he ignored Virgil in the poem here. Well, he does refer to DiBiase as the $1 Million Idiot after all, so here comes Teddy, ready to put the hurting on one Lanny Poffo. DiBiase charging, but Poffo throwing a Frisbee directly into Ted's face. Finally, what a gimmick. I've been talking about this for months, guys. Why did he never do this before? With Ted stunned from the Frisbee shot to the face, Lanny going to follow up with a drop kick, but misses a second one, and an aggressive $1 Million Man then goes to town, falling fist drops, standing elbow off the middle rope, and the $1 Million Dream going to put Poffo out 1 minute, 49 seconds, and a $100 bill stuffed in the mouth of Leaping Lanny. Probably not the first thing stuffed in his mouth today, but it does pay for his poetry. Probably shouldn't be seeing a whole lot more of Lanny Poffo, at least in this role, as he will be repackaged very soon, and I can't wait for that. As we roll off again to the event center with Sean Mooney, this time we're going to hear from Brutus the Barber Beefcake and the former Intercontinental Champion, the Honky Tonk Man.
We are back at the World Wrestling Federation Event Center. A lot of wrestlers here in the World Wrestling Federation will have their own unique style, and one man in particular definitely has that. He is Brutus the Barber Beefcake from San Francisco, California, and it just so happens he is standing by right now with comments. Let's hear from the Barber.
You know something? I just got a few words of advice for a few of you people out there. Like you, DiBiase, or you, Rick Rude. If you got the guts, or if they say you don't have the brains, to step into the ring with a man who's maybe not quite all there, it's been said. But maybe on the other hand, maybe he knows something. Maybe I know something that you don't. You see, they don't call me the Barber for nothing, pal. I know how to use the tools of my trade, and I do it right, brother. Better than anyone else. That's me, the Barber, Brutus Beefcake.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake, he does indeed know how to use the tools of his trade, as we have seen evidence of in a few of his matches. Also standing by, the Honky Tonk Man. He is the former Intercontinental Champion, and he still claims to be the greatest of all time.
You know, Honky, you're the greatest, man. Everybody knows how great you are because we say we just keep
wait, Jimmy, wait. Just, let me ask one question.
Okay, go ahead.
Who is the best guitar picker in the WWF?
The Honky Tonk Man, of course.
Who is the best singer in the WWF?
Oh, that's easy. You are, Honky.
Who is the greatest of all time?
Oh, Honky, you are. That's unbelievable.
So that makes me the best wrestler in the WWF.
Of course, number one.
And everybody wants to wrestle a Honky Tonk Man, even still when the Honky Tonk Man don't even want to wrestle anymore. I want to sing, I want to dance, and I want to play the guitar now. That's what I want to do, but everybody wants to wrestle me, Jimmy, so you get the contracts, and the Honky Tonk Man will sign them, because I'll turn down no man.
You're the greatest
of all time.
Right there, Jimmy Mouth at South Heart, pretty much saying what the Honky Tonk Man wants to hear. I think it would be interesting to hear a few of the other superstars of the World Wrestling Federation answer those questions. I don't think the Honky Tonk Man would get the same answers.
All right, so if you were paying close attention there, guys, you heard a generic promo. Beefer basically name-dropping Ted DiBiase, Rick Rude, no mention of the outlaw Ron Bass at all. So clearly that feud going to be coming to an end in the weeks to come. Also, Honky Tonk Man, ditto, no reference to the Ultimate Warrior nor his Intercontinental title. Looks like we're moving on, heading into 1989 for both of these guys. Not soon enough for either. As we go back to the ring, one more match this week on Superstars. It's the Fabulous Rougeaus brothers, Jacques and Raymond, with manager Jimmy Hart battling Stephane De Leon and Sam Houston. Now, as we get going, we get an insert promo here from the Rougeaus bragging about moving to Memphis, from Montreal to Memphis. Parlez-vous français? Of course, the Rougeaus and their upcoming open house they're going to be having here. Going to have a little house party, housewarming. Everybody bring a gift for the Fabulous Rougeaus, who have now moved to the United States, Memphis, Tennessee, to be exact. And Sam Houston out here with De Leon. Houston coming out to his music, entrance music, which means Stephane De Leon also gets entrance music, kind of peculiar. As the Rougeaus going to enter next with no music, Man, that gimmick, it just needs a great tune. That's really all it's missing. Hope they do something about that soon. Meanwhile, Jesse Ventura, Vince McMahon bickering back and forth of the Rougeaus' hometown. Vince says it's Montreal. Jesse corrects him. No, it's Memphis, Vince, and that goes back and forth as Vince McMahon also mocking their recent promos, or actually all of their heel promos. Hi, I'm Jacques, and I'm Raymond, and Vince having some fun here with that on commentary this week as Sam Houston gets things going with a tackle, sending Jacques down, but Jacques going to kip right back up, catching Sam right in the face with a nice drop kick and a little celebration over the Rougeau brother corner. Sam, though, going to flip over a Jacques slam attempt, land behind him. Now, Jacques going to respond by backflipping through a Sam Houston backdrop attempt. So Sam, not to be outdone, cartwheels around a Jacques backdrop. Then a pair of drop kicks from Houston sends Jacques crawling over to Brother Ray. Great spots from these two. Lots of great counters, little flippies. They're long before the AEW world. Both guys looking really good, though, in their respective spots, heel and babyface, as Jacques finally going to tag out to Brother Ray, who comes in, and unfortunately, Sam also has to tag to Stephane De Leon. We knew it was coming, guys. And of course, from there, we get a fabulous double-team beatdown. It does begin, and it ends with the Rougeau bomb on Stephane. Match goes 3 minutes, 37 seconds, as Vince McMahon pointing out there was no tag, but the illegal Raymond going to cover anyway. Pretty trivial, Vince. I mean, they had him beat, no matter who made the cover. But second complete job spot on the card for Sam Houston on TV here in just as many weeks. 2 weeks in a row now, Houston basically just put in a job guy spot, and this was taped before Survivor Series, mind you, so just really odd booking, but he looked great when he was in there, when he was allowed to do some things. He's also starting to add a little meat to his bones, it would seem, but maybe too little too late here for Sam Houston as we go back to the event center one more time. This time, Sean Mooney going to take us to some interviews involving Akeem and his manager, Slick. We'll also be hearing from the Hart Foundation.
Welcome back to the event center. So the Fabulous Rougeaus brothers have settled down in Memphis, Tennessee. They say they've received the key to the city. I imagine that key opens the back door. You talk about a change of address. What about an entire change? And that has happened to one man here in the World Wrestling Federation. He is Akeem. He's standing by with the Doctor of Style, Slick.
Now, you know, I know everybody out there has heard the expression, what you see is what you get. Well, take a long, hard look. 483 pounds, 6 feet 9 inches, Daddy. He's coming right at you because the brother here is on a mission of mayhem. And we don't care who it is. Randy Macho Man Savage, Hulk Hogan, it makes no difference. All you got to do is sign the dotted line, step in the ring, and this man will whoop your behind. Right on.
You know what the problem is, brother? I don't believe half of these people know how to write.
That's the trouble, huh?
Just step it on there and come on and I'll beat the fool out of you.
Well, the Doctor of Style stating there that Akeem is on a mission of mayhem. And that is one big mission. The Hart Foundation, a tag team on the move here. And right now they're standing by. Let's hear from Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Well, obviously, Jimmy Hart is making life very difficult for the Hart Foundation, but I've got kind of some sad news to tell the people out in Memphis. The Rougeaus are not actually looking into it. They've actually purchased a home in Memphis. I bet the people in Memphis are just dying. I bet they're just hysterical.
I bet it's done a lot for the real estate boom in Memphis. Let me tell you something right now, Rougeaus. You may still be picking up your 25% from the Hart Foundation, but all you have to do is take a good look at the win-loss column. And the Hart Foundation has been on a roll, and we've been rolling all over everybody. And that includes the Brain Busters, the Rougeaus, and the Demolitions. You are next on our list, and we're going to be back with our belts.
All right, so Akeem taking on all comers. Sign the dotted line, guys. Meanwhile, the Hart Foundation clearly haven't forgotten about the Rougeaus, who are still apparently collecting 25% of the Hart's pay. Who agrees to a contract like that? 25%. The Anvil had to have signed that for everybody, right? Anywho, the feud goes on, it would seem, as the contract will surely run out soon. The Rougeaus and the Hart Foundation moving into 1989. As we wrap up Superstars this week, we learned that next week on the program here on Superstars, it's Tag Team Champions Axe and Smash Demolition will be here, along with the Mighty Hercules. Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig going to return, as well as King Haku, the Big Boss Man, the tag team of the Honky Tonk Man and Greg the Hammer Valentine, okay, and the Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior, all here next week. My God, the Demos, Mr. Perfect, the Boss Man, the Ultimate Warrior. It's a who's who next week here on Superstars. As right now, guys, we're going to run off to the following day in Wrestling Challenge. But before we get there, we're going to take this quick WrestleCopia timeout.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com, and to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. But that's not all. You can also check out the Pro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Pro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. And of course, now would be a fantastic time to become a WrestleCopia patron over at Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That address again, Patreon.com/WrestleCopia, where you get so many gifts, including all of my insanely detailed show notes for every episode of The Grenade Show, Regional Wrestling, and the Monday Warfare podcast. You'll also get early access to a lot of the podcasts here on the WrestleCopia brand, where you can listen days and sometimes as much as a week earlier than the rest of the listeners. But that's still not all, guys. You also get at least a dozen digital downloads for your viewing and reading pleasure each and every month, plus random bonus video drops, and of course, the Patreon exclusive watch-along series covering many past WWF and WCW events. And if that's not all, videocasts, also now a part of Patreon. No subscription, cancel anytime. Give it a try for a month, guys. I think you'll like the content that I offer, and every penny of it goes right back here into paying the bills. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia. Help me pay some of the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and all of the great shows here up and running for the months and the years to come.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, where we go, what do we do? Be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
All right, guys, welcome back to the program as we head off now to the December 11th edition of WWF Wrestling Challenge. All right, away we go with another edition of Challenge December 11th, 1988. Tape back November 16th at the Sacramento Arco Arena there on the West Coast. It's Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon on commentary, per the usual. And off to the ring, well, it's Gorilla Monsoon solo right out of the gate because it's Ravishing Rick Rude in action with Bobby Heenan by his side. Rude's opponent this week, one Cowboy Scott Casey. As we get an insert promo here from Rude, who reminds us of his rude awakening kiss that follows every match. Apparently now also promoting it as doing it on the house shows. What a gimmick. As Scott Casey with an O'Connor roll early on and a nice atomic drop as only Rick Rude can sell, but Rude blocking a monkey flip in the corner, Scotty taking a nasty bump right on the back of his external occipital protuberance. Thanks, Gorilla. Snap suplex and a top rope fist drop going to set Scotty up for the Rude awakening neckbreaker, the ravishing one going over 2 minutes and 12 seconds. And then post-match, we get the other Rude awakening as he kisses a pretty young lady in the ring. And we roll off from there to Special Report with Lord Alfred Hayes talking about the recent encounter between the Brainbusters and the Rockers, the brawl from yesterday on Superstars, or earlier in the day, depending on what city you were watching this in. Obviously, these two teams will indeed meet again, and I've never seen them put this into an update or a special report so quickly on the same weekend that it happens on the other program. So very invested, very important to, I guess, get this feud going as these two teams will now be competing on the house shows. And man, can't wait for those. But we go back to the ring now, singles competition. Going to see the Blue Blazer battle Steve Lombardi. We get an insert promo from the Masked Man who explains that he uses his speed, agility, and acrobatics to win his matches. Would have never guessed, Owen. It is a backflip off the top rope into the ring before the matchup. The Blazer going to use his balance standing on the top rope at one point to backflip out of an arm wringer from Lombardi and dropkick, sends Steve out to the floor. And when Lombardi tries to re-enter the ring, he's met with a baseball slide dropkick right into the face, sending Lombardi back into the guardrail. Bobby Heenan on commentary, meanwhile, struggling to figure out the identity of this Blue Blazer character, but he has now ruled out Leaping Lanny Poffo. Well, that's good. Bobby suspects that it may be the Fabulous Moolah under that mask, based on his deep voice in that insert promo. I wrote LOL. Back inside, gut-wrench suplex by Owen, but Lombardi taking over briefly, going to the top rope. But the Blazer going to kip up, meet him there, slamming Steve off the top. Running dropkick sends him across the ring before the belly-to-belly suplex, Owen style I might add, setting Lombardi up for the top rope moonsault splash going to connect, giving the Blazer the win 3 minutes and 11 seconds. The Blue Blazer still undefeated here, supposedly. We did see him submit to the Hammers Figure 4 at Survivor Series, but I guess pay-per-views, or at least the Survivor Series, doesn't count in defeat because the Red Rooster also promoted as undefeated still. And we saw Macho Man wipe him out in near record time. But going back to this matchup, Gorilla Monsoon suggesting that maybe it's time for Steve Lombardi to return to the Terry Garvin school of self-defense. Well, fun little joke there, Gorilla, but honestly, Steve Lombardi starting to really pick up the pace here in the ring, getting a little more impressive with each and every week, and something tells me with the right manager, he may go a little further. But right now, we saw them in the woods, deep in the woods with Mean Gene Okerlund on Superstars. Here it is again, the Bushwhackers, this time in the big city. What city? I'm not quite sure, but it is Luke and Butch walking down Main Street, guys. We're right here in the middle of downtown, wherever this is, as Luke stating that something's wrong here in the States. They drive on the wrong side of the road. As a passerby, a man in a suit on the street walking by, the Bushwhackers stop him to introduce themselves as they are looking for directions. The man sending them to a park nearby. And as Butch continues to talk to the man, Luke keeps running over into the camera, making ridiculous faces. Boy, they embraced this comedy right out of the gate. Mean Gene lucked out in this one, I'd have to say, as he was nowhere to be seen, maybe still buried under those leaves, wherever that was. So the Bushwhackers again in their fourth vignette, but they have yet to wrestle in the ring. And so far, honestly, the way they've embraced the characters, at this point, I'm not overly disgusted with what we're going to wind up with in the days and weeks to come. But Luke and Butch certainly owning this Bushwhackers character right from the jump. As we go back to the ring for the Big Boss Man with manager Slick, his opponent this week, Jim Gorman. And it's a quick squash as they promote the Hulk Hogan Boss Man feud. Even a quick Hogan chant begins early on, but it's the sit-out Boss Man Slam this week. Going to get the win 1 minute and 6 seconds. And of course, post-match, it wouldn't be a boss man battle if he didn't. Well, wait a minute. Something a little different this week. The boss man tossing Jim Gorman out to the floor, handcuffing him to the middle turnbuckle on the outside. But don't worry, guys, still working him over with that nightstick as even louder Hogan chants begins. So the feud picking up, the crowd buying into it, chanting for Hulk Hogan, the big boss man, one of, if not the top heel in the company right now, as we go off to Sean Mooney in the Event Center. Going to hear for a couple of the big hitters here in the company, talking about the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and the reigning Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney, back at the Event Center. Few World Wrestling Federation superstars have had the ability or the resources to accomplish what the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, the man who says he always gets what he wants, happens to be standing by right now with a bodyguard, Virgil. Let's hear from the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
You see, there's something that all of you peons out there watching must understand, and all you so-called wrestlers of the World Wrestling Federation have got to finally come to grips with and realize, which is what I've said from day one. There's nothing in this world that my money can't buy, and there's nothing in this world that my money hasn't bought in good time. You see, I always get what I want. It may take a little while, but eventually it all comes to me. Randy Savage, you're still running scared from the $1 Million Man. Running and running and running. Hulk Hogan, you're paying the price. You are paying the price through the efforts of the big boss man at my direction. And you, Hercules, I've already bought and paid for you. You belong to me, and you will be subservient to the $1 Million Man.
Well, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, obviously looking at things through his own point of view, but one thing you cannot deny is his persistence. Raise the intensity level. It is time now to hear from the Intercontinental Champion. He is the Ultimate Warrior.
As the Ultimate Warrior travels up and down those roads, and those miles become hard, and they become hard and long for the other mortals that feel like they have what it takes to come to me and accept that challenge. I only laugh in their face and spit in their eye, because I know when I have the meetings with the gods high above that they've told me, they've explained to me what the writing on the walls mean. It means that the Ultimate Warrior has what it takes to go all the way and spread the power like a sickness, like a plague all over the WWF. No man, good or bad, has a chance to stand toe-to-toe with the Ultimate Warrior. And you, as a warrior with your face painted, know it.
The Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior, you have seen him on many occasions destroying opponents on national television, and he plans to use that intensity he possesses to remain the Intercontinental Champion.
All right, both guys, Warrior, I'm not going to try to make heads or tails of whatever was going on there, but he seems like he's looking to inject something into the Warrior fans out there, it would seem. Ted DiBiase obviously seems to have a bone to pick with pretty much everybody. A who's who of Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, and of course currently the mighty Hercules, as we get another Royal Rumble ad here on Wrestling Challenge, and Nintendo Entertainment System presents Dino Bravo and his patented side suplex, Jess. Gonna get the win there for the Canadian strongman. Now you're playing with power. Nintendo power, guys. Then it's back to the ring for Tito Santana, his opponent, the Black Knight. Tito still rocking that cool new music he got, but already in the ring for the introduction. Never good for a baby face. Bobby Heenan uses this match for, well, you might guess, more Hispanic jokes, and even brings up Rick Martel for the umpteenth time. Of course, this being 4 or 5 months after Martel's departure from the company, but lots of mention as of late. Keep that in mind, guys, as in the ring here, Tito Santana with a nice backdrop, setting Black Knight up for the flying forearm, going to get the win. 1 minute and 57 seconds. As Wrestling Challenge continues on, we get a replay from Saturday night's main event, the Rougeau brothers over the Young Stallions. And then we go off to a special interview. Mean Gene Okerlund up on the platform, going to talk with the WWF champion, the Macho Man Randy Savage, and with him, the lovely Miss Elizabeth.
All right, Macho Man, some things have been said that we've got to talk about. Bad News Brown, you saw what he did to World Wrestling Federation President Jack Tunney. I can't believe it. The accusations are mounting, and I want to find out right now what your disposition is concerned in the title defense against Mr. Brown.
The guts that Bad News has shown to even think about the things that he actually said. about the manager of the Mega Powers is unbelievable, and it cannot be denied. And I'm saying to you, Bad News Brown, that you and your ghetto blaster is nothing compared to what I'm gonna do to you, man.
All right, Macho Man. President Duddy leveling a big fine against Bad News Brown, but you're telling me that you'll be more than happy to defend your title against this man from Harlem?
I'm gonna do him a favor. That title shot that he wanted is just gonna be his demise. Cause when I get Bad News Brown in the ring, there won't be no more bad news for you. Cause it's the last time I'm gonna mess with garbage like you, yeah.
All right, stated by the World Wrestling Federation champion, Macho Man Randy Savage. He wants one man, that being Bad News Brown.
We'll be right back.
Oh, yeah.
Well, short, sweet, and to the point, the Ghetto Blaster is nothing compared to what the Macho Man has in store for Bad News Brown. Brown's title shot will be his demise. A new collision on the horizon. The Macho Man and the man from the streets of Harlem, Bad News Brown. Then it's back to the ring for singles action. The African Dream Akeem with his manager Slick out there taking on Ricky Ataki. As we get an insert promo from Akeem, more of the same, a little more fun, a little jive talking, if you will. As Bobby Heenan wants to know, was Ricky Ataki, did he used to be one of the Jumping Bomb Angels? I had to LOL at that one. Only Bobby, guys. Meanwhile, Gorilla Monsoon not fooled by the wardrobe change, he says. From the one-man gang to Akeem, still the same guy in the ring, as it's a total beatdown, but dancing in between. Got to get that in before the Gourd Buster. Going to pull him up on a 2 count to finish him off. Poor Ataki going to eat the Air Africa 747 splash. Going to do Ricky in 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Some serious, wild, goofy dancing post-match here. More than usual. Kind of off-balance dancing here by Akeem, which the character is great. But it's such a weird dynamic because if he's a comedy act, how can he also be perceived to be a main event monster at the same time? Of course, we know he's going to be teaming a lot with the Big Boss Man to come. What an odd pairing, but I don't know. It worked for me. So the African Dream with another win here on TV as we close up Wrestling Challenge. One more matchup, guys, featuring the Mighty Hercules taking on, wow, big man Daryl Peterson. And if he looks familiar to you guys, he's going to go on to beat Maxx Payne in the USWA, and later the WCW going to blow Johnny B. Bad's face off with that Bad Blaster. And then, of course, later on, Man Mountain Rock in the World Wrestling Federation. But here, he's just one big job guy. As we see Hercules deliver a nice clothesline, big slam, and an impressive torture rack backbreaker as Hercules lifts the giant Peterson up with just one shoulder up into the move before hooking it on, getting the quick submission win, just 1 minute and 45 seconds to close out Wrestling Challenge. And next week on the program, we learn we're going to see the likes of the Brainbusters. We'll be here along with Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Bad News Brown, the $1 Million Man, King Haku going to be here, and more. Stay tuned for that next week here on the program, guys, as we go into our final bit of results for this week. It's the December 12th edition of the WWF's Primetime Wrestling. All right, we are on location this week. Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon in Busch Gardens, Tampa, Florida. Mischief, animals, log rides galore. Lots going on here, including when Gorilla and Bobby met Luke and Butch, the Bushwhackers, popping up at Busch Gardens, riding a log ride. Bushwhackers coming down on a flume, just on a water ride, just absolutely crazy. And then we get to see some shenanigans with giraffes and zebras and all sorts of things. Bobby Heenan with some great one-liners, but as per the usual when on location, very hard to get it over on audio rather than the video. So I did post a couple of video samples there on my social media. Go check it out. It's the Brain doing classic Brain things. Lots of people enjoying them, eating it up right now on my social media. You can go watch Bobby feed some giraffes, run away from some zebras, and Luke and Butch, looking for a rifle at one point, he would quip. But just a lot of shenanigans going on as they promote from Tampa. There, as we got a couple of exclusive matches. We actually have a few exclusive matches this week on Primetime Wrestling, including a couple taped in Daytona back on December 6th from the Ocean Center. Going to see Hercules defeat Boris Zukov with the torture rack. Match goes 6 minutes, 14 seconds. And rugged Ronnie Garvin going to make his WWF TV debut, scoring a pinfall victory over Iron Mike Sharp with the Garvin Stomp and the Pile Driver. Going to get the win in just 3 minutes, 24 seconds. Really fun spot at one point. Mike Sharp looking for a test of strength. The former NWA World Champion having none of it. He teases going for it and then just chops the shit out of Iron Mike. Really good stuff. Go check that out if you can. Again, I posted that as well on my social media. We also had a matchup from Hamilton, Ontario, Cops Coliseum. Not necessarily an exclusive, but a rarity. Going to see Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig go over on Jose Luis Rivera, who has been also acting as one of the conquistadors for the past year or so. But it's the Perfect Plex putting Jose Luis down, 6 minutes and 11 seconds. Good action this week through and through. Of course, we get to see the start of the Rockers Brainbusters feud. Randy Savage calls out, acknowledges the fact that, yes, I had Bad News Brown's suspension lifted, and I'm going to be granting him title matches upcoming at the house shows. So look forward to that, including some street fights here in early 1989 between Bad News and the WWF champion. So lots going on moving into the new year. And as we know, the Royal Rumble, just about a month away, guys. So can't wait for that. The first ever 30-man edition, the first ever pay-per-view version of the Royal Rumble. Several matches to be announced as well. So stay tuned for that next week here on The Grenade. But for right now, just want to encourage everybody to stop on over to WrestleCopia.com. Check out all the great podcasts from Gene Jackson's Retro Wrestling Review to everything we have going on right now with the Regional Wrestling Podcast, Wrestling Stoop with Bob Roop, The Other Ship, The Outdated Wrestling Hour with Bob Smith, Dave Dynasty's Wrestling Nostalgia, and more. Check it out right now at WrestleCopia.com, and you can find all those shows and all of your favorite podcast streaming apps as well, and many of them featured at YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade in audio form. And last but certainly not least, always encouraging everybody to stop over to Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. So many great things to offer there. It's so many different tiers, from the $5 all-access tier to my personal favorite tier, the VIP Superfan tier. Is a great way to get your feet wet before moving up, perhaps, to the Ultimate tier. So many gifts to give away at all of those tiers, from early access to the podcast, insanely detailed show notes to nearly a half a dozen of our shows each and every week. And let us not forget all of the great video casts we have going on right now, from the Coliseum videocast to the Pro Wrestling Academy videocast, the Big Ones video series focusing this month on Fall Brawl 95, as well as In Your House 3, the triple header, both available right now as part of the Ultimate tier, as well as the upcoming debut of Regional Wrestling Unreal, the video series. We've unlocked the treasure chest, nearly 1 terabyte. That's 1,000 gigs that I can share with you today, all by joining that Ultimate tier. But again, if that's not in your price range, the All Access tier and the VIP tier also ready, as I truly appreciate your support to keep this thing running. But for right now, guys, we're going to wrap things up. See you again next week, another week of December TV as we move into the second half of the month, heading into 1989. My God, where has the time gone? But for right now, this is Ray Russell saying, from pillar to post and coast to coast, you pull the pin, I'll pick up the pieces, right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. See you next week. Don't miss it. Be there!
Who's the stooge? You remember what we've gone through? You remember the training? Well, you know something, it's paid off, because we're the best. We're ready for your powers of pain. You bring them on, because you lost control of us, and now we're gonna kick your teeth in.
The powers of pain. 2 puppets you lead around by the nose. You know how tough we are, Fuji? We live at the end of Elm Street. When Freddy Krueger wants to come home, he has to ask us.
My what?
Oh,